Good day, everyone. Once again, welcome to my virtual classroom. For today's video, I'm going to be discussing with you more of qualitative research and understanding qualitative research more. And later on, we'll be differentiating qualitative research from quantitative research. Basically, uh, we have two categories of research. So we call it research design. Okay, so we have two categories of research. So we have qualitative research, and then we have the quantitative research. So um, qualitative research is about, of course, understanding phenomenon concerning quality or kind. Okay, so when we speak of quality, we are not more of thinking of uh, the numerics. Okay, so maybe this is thematic. This is more of um, themes. Okay, and then quantitative research is concerned with phenomena involving quantity or measurement. So everything is data driven. So that's the difference between qualitative research and quantitative research. So qualitative research is about, as I mentioned a while ago, about phenomenon concerning quality kind, whereas quantitative is more of measurement. So both research design are concerned about data reduction and, of course, the appropriateness of research methodologies to research questions, and another one seek to relate data analysis to publish, of course, research studies and to ensure that no deliberate distortions occur. And of course, the last one, it addresses the importance of transparency and the issue of error. This is according to Bryman 2012. So concerning their differences, so we said that qualitative research aims to understand and of course interpret social phenomena in their natural settings. And this is more subjective. And this uses either unstructured or semi-structured research instruments. It applies non-probability sampling. And of course, this is more of words, images, or objects. Data are analyzed inductively involving the identification of patterns, features, or themes without using any statistical test. And the results are presented in written description. We can also use photographs, videos, and sound recordings. The findings are less generalizable and it is less or not replicable. That's according to the Xavier University Library 2012. While quantitative research, this aims to test hypotheses. So quantitative research uses hypothesis specifically if it's inferential by looking at the variables relationship, differences, or effect on each others. And sometimes um, under a controlled environment, it uses structured research instruments and a large, specifically if there's a large sample size, so it's needed to ensure a representative by applying probability sampling techniques. You will understand this when you undergo quantitative research or practical research too. So data collected are in form of numbers and statistics, and these are analyzed deductively. Data analysis involves identifying statistical relationship among the variables using statistical tests. So in the next slides, I'll be giving you the table of comparison of course, quantitative research and qualitative research. So here, so differences of qualitative research from quantitative research. The first one is the second column. The first one, of course, are the categories or the characteristics and the uses. And the first column is for qualitative research. The third column is for the quantitative research. So let's start with purpose. So purpose for qualitative research, the purpose of qualitative research is to understand and interpret social interactions. While for quantitative research, to test hypotheses, look at cause and effect, and make predictions. Okay, what about for group studied? For qualitative research, it only needs smaller, and of course, the participants are not randomly selected. While for quantitative research, it uses larger groups or larger respond or the numbers are big, and of course, are randomly selected. For the variables used, qualitative research, study of the whole. Okay, it does not only focus on variables. While for the quantitative research, specific variables were studied. Okay? What about the type of data collected? For the qualitative research, you can use words, you can use images, and objects. While for quantitative research, numbers and statistics. Form of data collected. Here, sa qualitative research, you can use open-ended responses. You can do interviews, participants' observation, field notes, and of course, reflections. While for quantitative research, quantitative data based on precise measurement using structured and validated data collection instruments. What about for the type of data analysis or the data analysis? So here, you identify patterns, features, and themes. You group them. Okay, while here identifying statistical relationship. So another, so for the role of the researcher, what is the role of the researcher for qualitative research? The researcher and their biases may be known to participants in the study, and the participants' characteristics may be known to the researcher. While for the quantitative research, researchers and their biases are not known to participants in the study, and participants' characteristics are deliberately hidden from the researcher. So, ang tawag dyan is double-blind studies. What about the results? For the results, usually for qualitative research, it is generalizable findings that can be applied to other populations. While for the quantitative, particular or specialized findings that is less generalizable. What about for the scientific method? For qualitative research, this is more of exploratory or bottom up. The researcher generates a new hypothesis in theory, specifically if it is grounded theory. So here, confirmatory or top-down, the researcher tests the hypothesis and of course the theory with the data. So that's why in the quantitative research we have the hypothesis testing. What about the view of human behavior? Here, it's dynamic, situational, social, and personal. While here, for quantitative research, it's more of regular and predictable. What about the most common research objectives? So here, explore, discover, and construct. Here naman, for quantitative research, you describe, you explain, and you predict. Okay? So definitely, there's really difference between qualitative and quantitative research. So what about focus? For qualitative research, this is a wide-angle lens, examines the breadth and the depth of phenomena. While for quantitative, its narrow-angle lens tests a specific hypothesis. What about the nature of observations? Here, it studies behavior in a natural environment. While for quantitative research, study behavior under controlled conditions, isolate causal effects. Okay, because in quantitative research, we have experimental research design. Okay, what about nature of reality? Here, for qualitative, it's multiple realities because it's subjective. While here, in quantitative, it's single reality because it's objective. It's measurable. Okay, what about for the final report? Here, narrative report. You need narrative report here with contextual description and direct quotation from research participants. But here, in quantitative, it's always statistical report with correlation, comparison of mean and statistical significance. So definitely you really have to compute in the quantitative research. Okay, so you see, if we're going to illustrate, so quantitative design or quantitative research is objective, deductive in method, generalizable, and it uses numbers. While for qualitative research, it's subjective, non-generalizable, inductive, and usually uses words. Okay, so take note of the difference of quantitative and qualitative research design, okay, or categories. Now, let us have an example. Okay, so for qualitative research versus quantitative, here, this uses non-statistical method. Example, you found that 90% of the students have difficulties in research. A follow-up qualitative study could interview small percentage of those students to find out why. While here in quantitative statistical, it has numbers attached to it like averages, percentage, or quota. So the quantity 90% makes it quantitative research. Okay? So next. For qualitative, this is a way to gain a deeper and broad understanding of an event, organization, or culture. While for quantitative, it is about collecting and analyzing data to explain phenomena. Information from a sample is used to make generalization or predictions about a population. It means that not everyone is being studied. It only gets a sample. Okay, and since this is scientific, so whatever is the information gathered from the sample, this already been the answer of the population. Okay. Next, for qualitative sample questions, why do people buy fast food? Okay, well in quantitative, you already have a survey. I think that customer service at this business is excellent. A, strongly agree, agree, no opinion, disagree, strongly disagree. So if you happen to see this scale, it means that it is quantitative research. So if you have choices like this one, degree of agreement. While for qualitative, this usually the question starts with why and how. While in quantitative, it always starts the questions in what. Okay, but there are also what questions which are qualitative in nature. So we just have to differentiate. Okay, so another one is qualitative, the methods for qualitative research. So for the methods, for qualitative research, you can use interview, okay? Or you can interview the key informants or key informant interview. You can also use semi-structured interview or the FGD or the focus group discussion. And of course, observation. For sampling, so it's flexible, so it's non-random sampling. So flexible, so the assessor is the primary instrument for data collection and analysis. While for the quantitative, so quick counting estimates, the methods are quick counting, sampling surveys, or we have survey questionnaires, population movement tracking, registration, and we use structured interviews. So, or we have the survey questionnaires. And of course, predetermined questionnaire with sequence and structure. When it comes to sampling, of course, random sampling. Okay? So that's the difference in methods when it comes to qualitative versus quantitative. So to summarize the difference between quantitative and qualitative features, so role of the researcher, again, it's detached and is objective for quantitative. For qualitative, engage and subjective. For the purpose, quantitative research test hypothesis, while for qualitative, describe and you develop a theory. Okay, so for the purpose. So here you test, here you develop. Okay, for data collection methods, okay, structured. Where for quantitative, it's structured, while for qualitative, it's flexible. Okay, iterative. For data analysis, quantitative, deductive, and statistical, while for qualitative, it's inductive. Okay. And for the type of data here, this for quantitative, that's more of numbers, while for qualitative, predominantly words. Okay. And for the product, quantitative status of hypothesis here, theory development. Okay, specifically if it's grounded theory. For the sample and quantitative research, we call them respondents, while for qualitative, we call them participants. So there's a big difference. So when we speak of respondents, we use quantitative research, or qualitative participants ang tawag natin sa sample. So that's it for this discussion. So at least we know the differences between quantitative and qualitative research. So if you have questions, you can directly um, comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you can subscribe for the upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and see you again on my next video.